Hi there! People ask me all the time, what withdrawal rate should I have from my retirement investments? I want to make the account last, but I also want to live comfortably. So how do I balance that? How do you even gauge? It's a great question that I love to answer. First, you got to consider that this question is extremely personal. So I'm going to talk about a few rules of thumb, but the situation might be different for you. So keep that in mind. You may have heard of the 4% withdrawal rule. Well, it's not really a rule, but it is a rule of thumb when it comes to how much to withdraw from your retirement accounts. The 4% rule was based on a Trinity study that showed that 4% was reasonable to make the account last as long as possible. It also makes sense because if you think about it, most accounts, even if they are invested conservatively, they're going to be able to generate something near a 4% annual growth rate. And that is what you would be living on in this case. So you don't have to worry so much about spending all of your money. So what this looks like is if you had $1 million in your investments, 4% of that would generate $40,000 a year as your retirement paycheck. So that's the 4% rule. When you're thinking about living off the interest, as I mentioned before, you could have a range there. Maybe it's 4 to 6%, which is another rule of thumb that you'll hear financial planners quote. Somewhere between 4 to 6% is probably a good withdrawal rate if your biggest concern is about sustaining the account and not outliving your money. The other important thing to think about is what type of account you are withdrawing from, because taxes are the next big bite out of what you withdraw. So if you have a pre-tax account, like most 401ks or 403bs or just a traditional IRA, you have had a tax-deferred existence in that account during the life of the account. But when you start taking money out, that's when taxes are going to happen for you. So your tax rate might be lower in retirement, might be as low as 10%. Or it might be similar to what you had during your working years, somewhere around 25, even 30%, all depends on your situation. In any case, however, you're going to have to think about taxes when you're taking money out of a tax-deferred account. So you have to add that on top of that withdrawal rate. That can take a big bite, as I said, so you need to do some planning with a tax planner or financial planner. There are other types of retirement accounts, though, that you don't have to do that tax math. That's why I'm always encouraging people to think about Roth options, a Roth IRA or a Roth 401k. Those mean you don't have to pay taxes when you take money out. You don't get a tax break when you put the money in, which is why some people kind of forget about them. But boy, it makes a big difference when you retire and you don't have to do that additional math of taking taxes out as well. So consider those Roth options if you're still in your working years and building your retirement assets. The other type of account worth mentioning is a brokerage account, or basically just an investment account. That's taxed differently as well. That's taxed each calendar year. So if you have one year, let's say, where your investments did really well, you'll be paying on those capital gains. If you have a year when the investments didn't do so well, you might be looking at some losses. That could help you with your taxation, actually, depending on your situation. And you might even talk to your broker or financial planner about tax loss harvesting, which is a way to do that if you have a brokerage account, just an investment account that's not inside a tax-advantaged vehicle like an IRA or a Roth. Those are the three different types of accounts to think about when you're thinking about your withdrawals in retirement. It's not just about the withdrawal rate, it's also about where it's coming from and what you might consider with taxes. The best idea that I can give to you is that when you're thinking about your retirement income, sit down and list all the various sources that you will have in retirement. That might be Social Security, it might be a pension, it might be just your retirement investments, it might be something else. You might consider part-time work. Once you add those all up together and get a feel for what you might be able to take home as a retirement paycheck, then you'll know if you might need to increase some amount towards your investments or if you might need to delay your retirement age a little bit. I often say that time can be your best friend or your worst enemy when it comes to financial planning. So be open and flexible to what that might mean when you're looking at that withdrawal rate in retirement. Overall, it's always a balancing act of having an account last for as long as possible and having a comfortable lifestyle. So if you have a diversity of accounts, meaning maybe some in a 403b, some in a Roth, Roth, some in a brokerage account. If you can have several different pots of money coming to you in retirement, that gives you the most flexibility and peace of mind. So if you can get started early with that, educate yourself on that, contact a financial planner to help get you on the right track, those are the best ideas that I can give to you. If you're a little further along and you're right at the cusp of retirement, look at that retirement age and think about whether 1 or 2, 3 years might make a big difference. We are living so much longer in retirement. Used to be retirement planning was for 20 or 30 years, maybe. Now it's easily 40, maybe even 50 years. So we need to be open to other options than just the traditional thinking. I hope this has helped you today, and we'll see you next time.